Yeah, last class towards the end there were some disturbances. Hopefully today it will not be there. Okay. So that 15th verse that we saw last class. Okay. It was,
Swamiji, I had a question there.
okay, shoot.
Swamiji, I can understand that question whether Maya is hides under consciousness or is Maya covered. I didn't get that thing clearly.
The Maya covering. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the idea is, the question is about Maya. How can Maya cover the infinite consciousness? It doesn't. It doesn't cover. It covers only your mind, really speaking. It appears to cover the consciousness, it does not. Exactly like how a cloud covers the sun. The cloud is incapable of covering the sun. The sun is thousands of miles bigger than the cloud. Cloud is a few miles across, that's all. But the cloud covers my perception of the sun. Similarly, my perception of pure consciousness, that I am that limitless consciousness, is covered, means my mind is covered by Maya Shakti, not the consciousness. But aupacharikena, colloquially, like how we say sun is covered, similarly we say consciousness is covered. Really speaking, only my perception is covered in both cases. Clear about that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Then he had said that Maya cannot be said to be made up of parts. How can you say it's made up of parts? Because avidya is not made up of parts in our experience. When you look at it, avidya is not made up of parts. No, but we have ignorance of pot and ignorance of Russian language. Tell me, what is the difference between ignorance of pot and ignorance of Russian language? Ignorance is ignorance. You are only talking about with respect to what you don't know. Ignorance, your mind is ignorance, partless. At the same time, he is saying, Maya is not something that is created by parts, because anything created is an assemblage, things are put together. The body is an assemblage of millions of things. A book is an assemblage of paper, etc. So similarly, can you say Maya is put together? Maya itself is uncaused, is the cause for everything. Based in Brahman, it becomes a cause for everything. So you can't say Maya is created, made up of parts. At the same time, you cannot say Maya doesn't have parts. Why? Because when you see the created world, in the world there is knowledge, nobility, etc. So sattva. In the world there is activity, desire, passion, etc. Rajas. In the world there is inert matter and inertia. Therefore sattva, rajas, tamas is there in the world. Therefore if sattva, rajas, tamas is there in the world, the cause we should also have it. Maya, which is a cause, should also have it. So what he is trying to say in this verse is the very nebulous nature of Maya. Maya by very nature is nebulous. You cannot say things very definitely, categorically about it. Like how you can describe this book in a very categorical fashion. And it is meant to be described in a categorical fashion. Maya cannot be. You can talk a lot about it, yes. But if Maya is sattva, rajas, tamas, then it's an assemblage put together, it should be created. But Maya is not created. Neither by human hands or by nature's hands. Can you see anything which is created either by human hands or by nature? For the time being, I am leaving Ishvara out of the picture. This is by nature. A tree, nature has assembled it. A book, a human being has done. It will have parts. It's an assemblage. An intelligent putting together. Whereas Maya cannot be said to be like that because nobody has created Maya. In fact, Maya itself is nature. Maya itself is what is manifesting. Atman is also uncreated. No parts, homogeneous whole. Maya also should be like that, uncreated. But it is not, because Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is there. Can you see? It cannot be definitely say it is like this or like that. Cannot be categorized. Remember, the truth also cannot be categorized. Don't say, therefore, these are the lakshanas of Maya, this is the lakshana of Brahman. Please. Maya is dependent on Brahman, Brahman is independent of Maya. Therefore, you cannot categorically talk Vedanta. That's an academic approach. That doesn't lead to moksha. That leads to, at the most, at best, some scholarliness. At worst, some vague ideas, some apata jnanam. That's all. Nothing more than that. Therefore, when you look at it, neither the Atman or Maya can be categorized. One is absolute reality, the other thing is completely apparent reality. But they are not separate. Why? The apparent has to be dependent on the absolute. Therefore, that is the nature of Maya. Making you understand what is it that's creating problems here. Then he says it, I mean, he's using some very colorful language here, okay? I think he's letting the poet in him come out. Avicharita siddheyam Maya vesha vilasini Purusham vanchityevam Mitya bhute svabhibhramaihi. Says avicharita siddhoyam. Maya and the effects of Maya are avicharita siddham. It is established without any vichara or logic. Your ignorance of anything is established by your experience or anubhava. Are you ignorant of Russian? Yes. How do you know? Please establish by some logic that you do not know Russian language. What logic can you give? If you say Russian language is like this, like this, like this, and I don't know that, then say you seem to be knowing a lot about Russian language. Ignorance is not established by vichara. In fact, vichara is meant to negate ignorance, especially when it comes to the self. Shastra vichara is supposed to negate ignorance. Therefore, if you have not done vichara, then you will have ignorance. Even any subject matter. You talk about a subject matter and you analyze and you do some analysis about it, you will gain knowledge. If you don't do any vichara, avichara siddham, ignorance continues, Maya continues. Therefore, avicharita siddheyam. You remember second line Adhyasa Bhashya is illogical but at the same time Anubhava Siddham. Okay, go look back at those lines. Okay. Then he says Maya Veshya Vilasini. He says this courtesan that's called Maya Vilasini, she has her play. a coquettish play. Okay, don't blame me. Sureshwara is saying it. Okay, Pandita that he was must have seen all this. Okay, in the king's court, the courtesan, how her jataks and her mataks and her natak and all that stuff. Okay, okay. Therefore, similarly, Maya Vesha Vilasini, the courtesan of Maya, she has her play. And what does it do? Purusham Vanchityevam, the Purusha, the person. Okay, Vanchityevam, Mithya Bhutehi Svavibhramaihi. And in that play, the Purusha gets lost. The Purusha gets lost. Here Purusha is not the all-pervading awareness, etc. The person, the knower. Okay? Vanchityevam, completely deluded. Like in when the courtesan dances in the king's court, all the people watching, they forget everything. They are so caught up in that beautiful dance, that coquettish dance, they forget they are married. They forget who they are, what they are, their dignity, etc. all gone. Similarly here, the Purusha, the person, Vanchityevam. Swa Vibhramaihi, in the own delusions of Maya. In what Maya presents the whole world for enjoyment. Lelo kya chahiye? Yeah. And you are lost, chasing this, chasing that, chasing this, chasing that. Vanchityevam, this is. Yeah. Just an imagery. Okay? An imagery to show what exactly happens. Therefore, the all-pervading consciousness, the limitless I, appears to be a finite entity chasing for bits and scraps of happiness here and there, and keeps cribbing and complaining about anything and everything. Yeah. Yeah. Now, very beautiful, a technical argument here actually speaking. I will try to simplify it as much as possible. न तस्या मूल विच्छेदम अभिवांछिति केचन तेषां पक्षे कथं मोक्ष मनसः संभविष्यति. Therefore, what will you think? Okay, negate Maya, complete. Chalo, khatam kar do. Then I'll gain moksha. But he says, na tasya moola vichedam abhivanchati kechana. There are enough scholars, enough sampradayavits who says, na tasya moolam vanchati, moola vichedam abhivanchati. They don't expect Maya to be completely destroyed by knowledge. Why do they say that? Tesham pakshe katam moksha. Says, how can you gain moksha? Manasaha sambhavishyati. Because moksha from the mind will never be there. Because the mind will always continue. World will continue. Look at it. It is true, Maya has to be negated to know the truth about myself. But remember, the total Maya cannot be negated. That is Ishvara's Maya. Ishvara Shakti that is. That cannot be negated. Then what can be negated? The Maya that is there in my mind, only that can be negated. Are you all getting the difference or is it confusing? Please respond.
Please explain.
Huh?
Please explain once more.
You want more explanation? Okay, done. Now, if Maya is the cause of the problem, what should be the natural conclusion? That I need to get rid of Maya. Correct? As long as Maya is there, my samsara will continue. But Sureshwara is saying, not strictly true, because you cannot negate your experience of the world. Can you negate that? Can you say the world will not be there once you gain moksha? Can you say everything will disappear? The moment I understand all pervading consciousness, I can't open my eyes and look at the world. World is gone, body is gone, mind is gone. Can you say that? Yes or no? Can you say that?
No.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Only the attitude will change.
Question step by step. Therefore, you cannot say the world is going to disappear. What does that imply? That even though I have negated the Maya that is manifest in my mind called avidya, the world will continue. That means Ishvara's Maya Shakti will continue. And that need not be a problem for me. My problem was my avidya. My adhyasa was the problem. My avidya is the problem. Not Ishvara Srishti. Not Ishvara Srishti. Yeah? If there is a question, please ask. If there is no question, mute your mic. What is the question? No question? Okay. That means I am assuming this is clear?
Yes, Swamiji.
Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to understand it a little bit more technically. Because of Maya, wherever there is a mind, consciousness will be manifest in that mind. Natural? Yes or no?
Yes.
This natural manifestation of the consciousness in the mind is called Sahajam Tadatnyam. We have seen this before, but I am repeating this because we have seen it long back. It is called Sahajam Tadatnyam, a natural association, a natural apparent association, one appearing as the other. Remember, Tadatnyam is one becoming the other or one appearing as the other. Therefore, the consciousness will appear as the sentient mind, and the sentient mind will be appearing as the conscious entity. This is called Sahajam Tadatnyam. No problems. That mind is associated with this body because of my own past karma. This is called Karmajam Tadatnyam. The Tadatnyam, the association that is there because of karma. Because of that, this inert body has now become sentient. No problems here also. No problems. These are all Ishvara's order. Ishvara Srishti, this is all this is. Therefore, that's not an issue. Then what happens? Because of ignorance in my mind, I take myself, the all-pervading consciousness, to be only this much. To be only this body and mind. The all-pervading consciousness is mistaken to be only this body and mind. This is called Bhrantijam Tadatnyam. The association born of Bhranti, delusion. This is the one that creates the problem. This Bhrantijam Tadatnyam is the one that creates the problem. Therefore, what should be done? This Bhrantijam Tadatnyam has to go. And that's exactly what goes on the study of Vedanta. Vedanta Vichara negates Bhrantijam Tadatnyam. Then there is no problem. Sahajam, let it continue. Wherever there is a mind, consciousness will be manifest. And if there is karma for you, that will also continue. But once prarabdha karma is over, that mind and body connection is gone. You remain as pure consciousness. Therefore, the only thing we have to do is, really speaking, negate Bhrantijam Tadatnyam. The whole of Maya, Ishvara's Maya, you cannot negate. How can you negate that? That is Ishvara Srishti. You can negate Bhrantijam Tadatmyam because that is the one that causes the problem. Therefore, that's why he says, we are not looking for a total destruction of Maya, because mind etc. will continue. Do you want on moksha to be mindless? People talk about mano, nasha etc. You will destroy the mind etc. Nonsense. Who is going to destroy the mind? You are only going to destroy the notion, I am only the mind. Mind is an instrument, use it. Apparent instrument for apparent functioning. Where is the problem? If I didn't have a mind, how will I teach? If Vyasa didn't have a mind, how could he teach? If Shankara didn't have a mind, how could he write the Dakshinamurti Stotra? If Shiveshwara didn't have a mind, how could he write a commentary? And if you don't have a mind, how will you understand? It's just happening. Therefore, this is the problem. The problem is only Bhrantijam Tadatmyam. Bhrantijam Tadatmyam is only problem that is there. Bhrantijam Tadatmyam. Therefore, all that is to be taken care of is only that much.
Swamiji?
Yeah,
Swamiji?
correct, shoot.
You are the host, so can you please mute everybody's mic, please, because there is a lot of disturbance.
Unfortunately, the way this class is going, 1 second to mute everybody's mic. Meeting settings. Somehow I can't access that point here.
Okay, no problem.
Somehow I have not been able to access that muting point
Okay.
through my phone. I can't be doing that. Anyway, I hope people will have the responsibility to mute their own mics. Unless, of course, they want to ask a question, which they are always welcome, or until I ask a question, when then they respond. Okay? So, any questions on this, or is this clear? Is this point clear?
Clear.
Okay. Therefore, as he said, we are not talking about destruction of Maya, we are only talking about negating the Vidya, the self-ignorance in my mind. Okay? The self-ignorance in my mind is being negated. That is all. Okay. Natasya moola vichedam abhivanchiti kechana tesham pakshe katam mokshaha manasaha bhavishyati, because the mind will always continue. Even after moksha, the mind is there, body is there, everything is there because of prarabdha karma. At the same time, the mithyatvam is clear, therefore there is no problem of everything continuing. Because the mind etc. continues, you enjoy the Jivan Mukti Avastha. The Avastha of being liberated while still being in this body. That freedom, to enjoy that freedom, is possible only because mind, body etc. is there. Otherwise that will not be there. And that is because of that alone you can teach Vedanta. And the students can benefit only because of that. Therefore, we are not seeking for mano, nasha, etc. We are only negating the avidya. The bhrantijam tadatmyam is being negated, nothing else. Okay. तिस्रोपि अवस्था मनसा जागृत स्वप्न सुषुप्तयः चक्रवत् परिवर्तन्ते भेद भ्रांतित्येक हेतवः. At the same time, he says, Even though the mind is a useful thing, be careful, learn, do what's necessary, because mind is the karanam for bondage and moksha both. But he is highlighting the mind is the karanam for bondage. Why? Tisro api avastaha manasaha. The three avasthas are there for the mind. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptaya. Waking, dream and deep sleep. These three states are there for the mind. And Chakravat Parivartante. It keeps on like a wheel turning forward. Bheda Bhranti Eka Hetavaha. This is the Eka Hetu, one cause for all your Bhrantis. Because ignorance is in the mind. Therefore, the mind is responsible for all your Bhrantis. Because there is ignorance in the mind, you take the roles as real, you take the waking as real, and when you are asleep, when you are dreaming, you take the dream also as real. When you wake up, you are sheepish about it because you took it as real. Or sometimes you will seriously discuss what my dream was about. So kale swapnavat bhati, prabodhe asad bhaved. When you wake up from that, therefore manasaha bandha hetu, he says, okay, bhranti hetu, chakravat parivantanti. Therefore, now he is discussing the problem, and then what we have to do, we will see the next couple of verses deal with the problem of how the mind functions. Only the problem part he is talking. Okay. Tabhi karoti karmani punastaihi badyate manaha manasa kevala sakshi bhunavat purushah para. Tabhi, because of that reason, because of the mind, you take the roles etc. yourself in waking and dream. Karoti karmani. Therefore, you will do actions. In this lifetime, you are born. You are taken, because of avidya in the mind, you are taken all this as real. And the mind now, therefore, naturally your finitude is real. Therefore, now you want to get things to get rid of your finitude. The only way you know is to add things or chop off things. Therefore, karmagani karoti. And if you do karma, then karma itself can entangle in a role. In a role, you can entangle you. Therefore, karmani badyante. Okay. And karma phalaha another janma. Punastehi badyate manaha. Mind, because of ignorance, does actions. Mind, of course, understood consciousness manifests in the mind. Sahajan tadatmyam and karmajam tadatmyam. Therefore, it does actions. And Brantijam also here in this case. Because of that, you do actions, thinking I am a finite thing. Roles are real, my problems are real. Therefore, I do actions. And to enjoy the action, the karma phala, another janma, samsara goes on. Whereas, what is the reality? Manasaha kevala sakshihi. I am the sakshi of the mind. Kevala sakshi aham. Manasaha api sakshihi. Buddhi vrittinam sakshihi. This is what I am. Avastatraya sakshihi. Okay. Bhanuvat purusha paraha. Like the sun is witnessing the whole thing. I am that sakshi. The purusha paraha. The purusha that is untouched. Paraha. Beyond, untouched by the mind, etc. Therefore, the problems of the mind don't touch me. The problems of the body don't touch me. There is no problem of samsara. Some things happen. There is a dance going on, the dance of the mind going on. Let it go on. Maja de. Duniya ka khel de. See the fun of the whole thing that's happening. But you can't take it as fun because you're too involved. Oh, therefore detachment is the answer. Detachment is not the answer. That's the unfortunate thing. Knowledge is the answer. Objectivity, emotional independence, these are the means for gaining knowledge. Shastra Vichara, without that nothing will happen. If you say I am detached, you will not grow enough to understand Vedanta. Because see, involvement is a problem. No? Therefore, I should remain uninvolved, detached. Then you will treat life as a spectator sport. You will not grow. You will not grow. And if you don't grow, you will not be able to call the bluff of Maya. You are not ready for Vedanta. Very funny situation. And one has to get involved in life with the right attitude of prasada buddhi, ishwararpanam, etc. With developing your sense of viveka, vairagya, ityadi, so that you can come to the study and gain the freedom. Now, because I am saying life is not a spectator sport and one has to get involved in life, don't run around like a headless chicken, okay? Function in harmony with your priorities. And remember, the priority is the need behind the desire. Just because you are interested in everything, just because you have a lot of desires, those are not your priorities. Those are your desires. Priorities is the need behind the desire. Get in touch with that and fulfill that. Then you will have enough involvement in life, but not running around like a madcap. ये भी करने को, वो भी करने को, वो भी करने को. What do you do? Okay. Therefore, and then of course in studies, in contemplation also, added to that, recognize I am the Sakshi, the witness. I am not. Even when I am doing everything, I am not involved. Then what's the problem? I am always functioning. No problems at all. Yeah. Always in terms of the thing. Always free. Never was I bound. That's the idea. Never was I bound. Now, since he has said Bhanuvat, he is elaborating that example a little bit. Bhanu is sun, okay? Not the girl next door. यथा प्राणिकृतेरर्कः कर्मभिर्नैव बध्यते तथा मनकृतेरात्मा साक्षिवद्नैव बध्यते. यतः प्राणिकृतैः, यतः अर्कः meaning the sun, the great orb that is there, अर्कः. प्राणिकृतैः कर्मभिः, the karmas done by the human being, by the living beings, naiva badhyate. Just imagine an ancient society, and Shankara's time society, agrarian society. Sun comes up, the world comes alive. People are up, doing things, this, that, etc. In fact, with the dawn itself, people are awake. You do your Sandhya Vandanam ityadi, you do your morning worship, etc. You are getting ready with your day's activity. The one sets, you also retire. You also retire. Therefore, all your activities are dependent on the sunlight. But the sun itself, not affected by what you do. What you do is your karma phala. The sun is just illumining the whole thing. In the presence of the sun, everything happens. The sun itself is untouched by what happens. Similarly, he says, Tatha manaha kritei, by whatever your mind, your ahankara has done, Atmaha sakshivat naiva badhyate. Atma is the sakshi, the witness, the illuminator. Na badhyate. You are untouched by it. You remember there was a verse, कर्मणि अकर्मय पश्येत अकर्मणि कर्मयः स बुद्धिमान मनुष्येषु स कृष्ण कर्म कृत. याद है ये verse? You do you remember this verse?
Gita?
Yeah, the Gita 4 chapter, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Same way. In all the actions that I do, aham akarta abhokta sakshivat na badhyate. Okay, that's what he's highlighting here. Okay, then he is concluding that section. Okay, concluding that section by saying, Atma karoti karmani बध्यते मुच्यते च तैः इत्य औपचारिकी क्लुप्तैः ब्रह्ममात्र एव केवलम् क्लुप्ता ब्रह्मै मात्र एव केवलम् आत्मा करोति कर्माणि I am the one who is doing all the actions बध्यते मुच्यते च therefore by all my karmas I am bound then I went to a guru I learned and now I am free I did I was bound I studied and I was free itya aupachariki says aupachariki klupti it's used in figurative sense aupachariki means a figurative sense and it's an expression he says brahma matre kevalam this is pure brahma he says pure adhyasa why when was I ever bound I the atma was ever free it is not because you come to Vedanta you are becoming free your mind is freed from that delusion that is all you are never bound the teaching is not that you are bound and you will become free if anybody says you are bound and you will become free by a process then you can become bound again by the reverse process therefore is never a case of the bound becoming free it is the one who imagined himself to be bound who deludedly thought he was bound that entity discovering his freedom that I was never bound my whole sense of bondage was illusory my whole sense of bondage was notional there is no real bondage the whole world is mithya then what are you talking about bondage my body mind etc is a mithya entity my avidya is equally mithya then what are you talking about bondage I am always free never was I bound always free never was I bound that is the teaching is not about the bound becoming free no if the bound is free by a process then you can become bound again by another process then you will have to speak eternal vigilance is the price of freedom which is true in the functional world if you are talking about the nation yes definitely eternal vigilance is necessary you don't know when Pakistan will walk in when China will try to walk in physically or economically yeah you don't know so then you need to be vigilant yeah like the government was change FDI rules overnight so China which is flush with funds can't come and take over Indian companies good things we didn't fight to gain physical independence to get economically bound again. Therefore, those cases is fine because the bondage and freedom are on the equal level, equal footing. Here, bondage is mithya, freedom is natural. Atma is ever free. That's a natural state. Bondage was a delusion. Bondage was a delusion. Bhranti, created by avidya, adhyasa. Therefore, removal of avidya is all that you are looking for. Therefore, to say I was bound, I discovered my freedom, my Guru's grace, all that is aupacharikam. Okay, there's a question here. What happens to the karma that you do after you have gained this knowledge? Of course, there will be karma phala. If I gain this knowledge and I eat a meal, naturally I will feel satisfied. If without any protection I go and interact with all the COVID-19 patients, the Wuhan virus patients, naturally I will get affected by it. Unless my immunity is that strong that it can override it. Or like it's happening, the virus is weakening, 80% of the new cases are asymptomatic. Finally, in today's paper, I recognize the BMC has recognized it, and those people, they are being discharged within 2-3 days. Right thing to do. I don't think even hospitalization is necessary. So, this karma phala, at the Laukika level will continue. But it will not extend itself to give me karma, karma phala in terms of another janma, etc. That it cannot. That it cannot. Why? Because there is nobody left after this body falls. This mind, etc., that I have as mind now, is resolved into the limitless consciousness that is there. So I remain as limitless consciousness after death. Because I remain as limitless consciousness, one with Ishvara, the karmas that I do cannot affect me then. The karmas I do after knowledge will affect me in this world. Eat too many bhikshas, I will become like Mahamandaleshwar. Yes, this world. I could have cholesterol, heart problems, all that thing can have. Why? Karma, karma phala. Or I exercise and I keep fit, etc. Yes, karma, karma phala. But not for hereafter. Not for hereafter. Yeah. With here, prarabdha, it's over, done with. That's it. Yeah. Therefore, the karma doesn't extend beyond that. What we technically saw, no? Agami, gone. Sanchita karma, standing in my account, gone. Prarabdha karma that gave me this body and this life, as long as the body continues, it is there. That prarabdha karma will be there. Therefore, if by prarabdha, I have to get that virus, even if I am sitting locked up at home, somewhere it will come. Because prarabdha is that strong. Yeah. Therefore, the wise person lives only by prarabdha, literally speaking. And some karma that is done in terms of keeping this body mind going, helping some people, teaching, etc. That karma phala, for laukika karma phala will be there. Even if you do some Vedic karma, etc., it is not for hereafter. It will go to other people, loka sangraham, etc., to the students, etc., to those who support him, etc. It will go like that. It is not meant for him. I hope that makes that question clear. If it is not clear, please ask. Clear? Okay. Okay. Then let us go ahead and say, remember the example of the sun. He is continuing that example and saying, धूमाभ्रधूलि निहारैः अस्पष्टोऽपि दिवाकरः यथाचन इव भाति यथा आच्छन्निव भाति तथैव आत्मापि मायया धूम अभ्र धूलि निहारैः अस्पृष्टोऽपि दिवाकरः धूमः स्मोक Abhrama, clouds, Dhuli, dust, Niharaihi, fog. In Bombay, you hardly see fog, you will see only smog. Okay. Asprishtoapi Divakaraha, the day maker, sun, Asprishtoapi, untouched, completely untouched. Dust and all is hanging in the atmosphere, cloud etc. is in the atmosphere, fog etc. Only as far as the atmosphere goes, you have all these clouds. Only as far as the atmosphere is there, clouds are there, not more than that. And the sun is far beyond all that. Therefore, asprishtam, untouched by anything. But what do we say? Achan iva, yathachan iva abhati. Okay. There is an A there which is hidden. Okay? Achanna. Yatha achanna. Because that will make it three A's. Therefore, there is a sandhi. Therefore, achan iva abhati. But the sun appears to be covered by the smoke, the cloud, the dust, the fog, by all of them. Foggy day today, can't see the sun. Sun is covered. Very cloudy. Rains have started. No sun. It only looks like that, he says. Only looks like that. Remember Hastamalikiyam. Ganachanna drishtihi ganachanna markam. Yatha manyate cha atimudaha. Atimudaha manyate. The filtered idiot, the great idiot, okay? Atimudaha. The best among the idiots. What does he say? Even though drishti is ganena achannam, covered by the heavy clouds, ganachanna markam, ganena achanna markam iti. The sun is covered by the clouds. Atimudaha yatha bhati. Similarly, ganachanna drishtihi. I am only, my perception of myself as pure consciousness is covered in avidya, and I take myself as what? I am ignorant. See, this part can be a little bit confusing to a student, because unless the student owns up his ignorance, he won't study. Unless you own up your ignorance, how are you going to study? Unless you say you have a problem, where will you try for moksha? So can you see? It is only when you see the problems of samsara very seriously are you going to try for moksha. Otherwise, Swamiji, sab theek chalta hai. You know, we have this great Indian attitude. Sab chalta hai Swamiji, sab chalta hai. However miserable, you know, chalta hai Swamiji, chalta hai. You pulling along, getting along. Because of that, you have not taken a good hard look at yourself. And even if you do take a good look at your life and say things are not well with me, you will always attribute it to the lack of money, lack of relationship, lack of people, lack of something like that. And go about seeking that. Only if enough pariksha lokan has been done, if you have looked at life enough to see the problem is not of gaining or losing, that's not the problem. I am finite entity, that is the problem. The problem is centered around me. In fact, I am the problem. Unless you come to that conclusion, you'll never take the Vedanta, study of Vedanta seriously. It will be a time pass activity. Or like modern teachers, a money making activity. It has become the net has become a spiritual supermarket. Especially now during the lockdown. Anything and everything is available. As though they are big solutions. Big solution. Harmonize your chakras, money mantra course, access bars. Any type of nonsense becomes fine. They may have some functional utility, nobody is saying no to that. May have, okay, some functioning utility. No, Swamiji, it is true. I did the money mantra course, and after that I gained enough money to pay my bills. You need a money mantra course to make enough money to pay your bills. The watchman in my building also makes enough money to pay his bills, and he does not do any mantra course, okay? If you're doing a money mantra course and you get a few crores, let's say you got 100 crores, I can say, okay, the thing is working well. Otherwise, what's the point? To paying your bills, you know, the watchman does it. My maid does it. So, this type of stuff, net is full of that. Okay? That's Lukhagiri, like literally. Here, what we are talking about is not any of these issues. The problem is centered around what I am, my self-judgment that I have, that I am a finite entity. My roles are real and they are the problem. And that will come only when you learn to handle life and question life further after your competency. Otherwise, what will happen is you have a certain competency, you have managed your life okay. Now my life is fine. It's not. You still are isolated, lonely being, scared being nowadays. Yeah. Every society, for example, in Bombay, having successful, competent people, they are all running scared. Government says open up. Slowly. Maids etc. are allowed into the building. No. How do you know where the maid comes from? Running scared. Government wants you to normalize. Slowly. Cautiously. But competent people are running scared. Every society will experience this. Why I am saying this? Because people in my building are also like that. And they are giving me examples of other societies who are equally scared. Why? Competent people but still scared of life and wants isolation. At the same time doesn't want isolation. You're feeling lonely. The problems of isolation. Psychological issues. A sadhu doesn't feel it. You're staying alone. You're staying alone. Anyway, I'm the only reality in the world. What difference does it make? And the problem of isolation is too much. What too much? You're never isolated. You're in harmony with the whole universe. But unless you recognize that these problems are yours, isolation, loneliness, purposelessness, etc., in spite of being successful, you're never going to take Vedanta seriously. That means you are accepting the problem. You are owning up the issue. Correct. You are owning it up. And then when you come to the teaching, what is the teaching doing? Dismissing your whole problem as not real. See the paradoxical nature here. Once you come to Vedanta, saying like the sun, you are always free, you are never bound. So this is the paradoxical nature of the world. Sahaya used to always love to quote this Kabir Zoha. हाय इंसान के भट भक्ति, हाय अंदाज के बाहर, खुद खुदा होकर बंदा नजर आती है. Look at the sad lot of the people. Why? खुद खुदा होकर, you are nothing but the Lord yourself, pure consciousness. But what are you saying? ये मालिक तेरे बंदे हो, हम मानेंगे तेरे 10 नियम. खाली 10 नियम है. Dharma is the whole order, all niyams only, all principles only. Why only 10? Because somebody went up a mountain and got 10 rules for living. And then he was the first person to break it. Why? Look at it. Unless you acknowledge the problem, you are not going to come to Vedanta. And when you come to Vedanta, you will dismiss the problem. That's the teaching. The problem as one is illegitimate. Purely illegitimate, not real. Purely out of avidya. That's exactly, in the Gita also you find the same thing, isn't it? How does the teaching starts in the Gita? याद है? हाँ? Ashochananva. Before that, Parahasaniva Bharata, with a smile on his face, Krishna taught. Why smiling? Arjuna is having serious problems. Yeah, there's a big problem here. Your chief player is saying, I'm not going to play. Your best among your warriors, whom all others are depending upon, is saying, I'm not going to fight. I have a big problem of samsara. This is what happens when a competent person recognizes the problem. Therefore, he is willing to do whatever it takes to solve that issue. Whatever it takes to solve that issue is willing to do. And that's exactly what Arjuna does. And Krishna is teaching, he can't take look at the teacher's position. You can't confirm that the problem is real for the student. How can you confirm that? It's not real. If you confirm the problem is real for the student will keep asking you techniques. And you will give them techniques which will work for some time. After that, you will have to be replaced by another technique. Then you will say, this is graded studies. Graded practices. Then you have a problem for a lifetime. Eternally you have to be the guru. Eternally he will be the Shiksha. And if that is what the guru is looking for, the guru has a problem. He is more dependent on the student than the students are on him. Therefore, you cannot take the problem as real. Because that's only confirming. You cannot say the problem is not there because the student is feeling it. Therefore, you have to start as though it is real. You have a problem, but the problem is not real. You have a problem, we accept that. But in my eyes, the problem is not real. And the student has to be made to understand equally well that the problem is not real. That is why, like the sun is not covered by any clouds. No clouds cover the sun. So also, the Atma is untouched by anything. By your Ragadvesha, it is not touched. By your karma phala, it is not touched. Even by your avidya, it is not touched. Even though avidya is dependent on the Atma and the Atma is independent of the avidya, avidya is not touched by it. Even though Atma is manifest in the body, not touched by it. Even though Atma is manifest in the prana, not touched by it. Even though Atma is manifest in the mind, not touched by it. Even though Atma is manifest in the ignorance, not touched by it. By different degree of reality. All these have a pratibhasika or a vyavaharika reality. Ragadveshas, etc., pratibhasika reality. Your body, mind, etc., a vyavaharika reality. And you are the absolute paramarthika reality, the absolute reality, untouched by anything. And if you are untouched by anything, where is the problem? You don't have a problem. Yeah, really speaking, there is no problem. The whole problem has become illegitimate. Where is the problem? Only here. Where else is an issue? There is absolutely no problem to be seen, to be worried about, to be taken care of. If you see that very clearly, that you are that limitless consciousness, free from everything, then there is no problem. Remember, don't convert this into a should or shouldn't. Therefore, I should not have a problem. Or I should not. No. I am saying, see yourself very clearly that you are that pure consciousness. Limitlessness itself. Where is the problem then? Where is the problem? There is some transactional reality. Something transaction to be done. Therefore, there seems to be something here and there. You do what it takes. Without really doing, because you, the consciousness, cannot do, will not do, need not do. Only the consciousness manifests in the mind, that sense of I, the ahankara. The badita ahankara now. Why? Because ahankara is negated with knowledge. But experientially it continues. That I seems to be going around doing a few things. Not a problem at all. Where is the problem for that? Absolutely no problem. Whatever action it does or doesn't do. Mauni Baba sitting in the Himalayas, that's also fine. No, doing a lot of active work, that's also fine. Getting married, living a householder's life, that's also fine. A sadhu and teacher, etc., that's also fine. Warrior on the battlefront, that's also fine. Whatever. Someone recently sent a photograph to me. Okay. In this village, there is a Ramakrishna Mission Center, Kharpur or something like that, some place like that, where the villagers are having a big difficulty that there is nobody to help them with the harvest, with the planting and with the agricultural activities. And that mission, there are quite a few sadhus there. So the sadhus decided these villagers need help, some practical help. We will help them with that. They actually went about doing agrarian work. No problems. What is the problem? Sadhu hai, ye sab kaam nahi karne. They saw a problem, a practical thing to be taken care of. They help people. Where is the problem? Where is the problem? I am wise person. No ahankara of being wise also. So what if you are wise? So good. You are a wise person. Acha hi. Your wisdom should lie lightly on your shoulders. That is the whole thing. That is the whole thing. Therefore, doing, not doing, none of these creates an issue. Okay? You are always free. You start by taking the problem seriously, commit yourself to the study, and discover there is no problem. I am always free. I never was bound. Any questions on this? Or is it all clear? Okay, if it is clear, this is a good place to stop. Okay. Before the net starts giving me any problems. I don't think today there was no problems, even though it's past 12 o'clock. So, good time to call it a day. Okay. Om Tat Sat. Enjoyed being with all of you.
Dhanyavad.